Good evening, hello and welcome to the news today. This is your prime-time destination. Newsmakers, talking points Friday night. Our top focus on abusive hate speech in Parliament, a new law. BSP MP Danish Ali, who was targeted by the BJP's Ramesh Bidhuri, will speak out. We'll tell you more when he joins us. Also, as the India-Canada standoff continues, what are India's realistic diplomatic options? Top diplomats will join us from both countries. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. BJP MP Ramesh Bidhuri hurls shocking, hateful, anti-Muslim hate speech remarks against BSP MP Danish Ali inside Parliament. Opposition demands Bidhuri's immediate suspension. BJP issues a show-cause notice. Still no action taken by the Lok Sabha Speaker, Om Birla. Amidst India-Canada diplomatic standoff, sources claim Canada ignored India's deportation request for the wanted terrorists. But the US now wades in, says no special exemption will be given to India over Trudeau's allegations. BJP does a bit of parivarvad, welcomes the JDS into the NDA fold ahead of the 2024 poll fight. JDS Chief H.D. Kumaraswamy says seat-sharing discussions with the BJP will be held soon. More trouble for Stalin Jr. Supreme Court issues a notice to DMK Mantri Udaynidhi Stalin and others over his Sanatan Dharma remarks. Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shiv Kumar says will comply with Kaveri water sharing with Tamil Nadu, vows to keep fighting for Karnataka farmers, urges them to withdraw their bun. Another setback for TDP Chief Chandrababu Naidu, judicial remand extended. Andhra Pradesh High Court dismisses Naidu's plea to quash arrest. Arunachal Pradesh Wushu athletes denied entry into China for the Asian Games. Union Minister Anurag Thakur cancels a planned China visit in protest. ISRO attempts to re-establish communication with Vikram lander and Pragyan rover, says no signals received yet but will continue all efforts. Markets continue their fall for the fourth day on weak global cues. This week has been the worst since February, with the Sensex plunging nearly over 1,800 points. But our top story tonight. The Indian Parliament, Sansad Bhavan, is often referred to as the temple of our democracy. Now, it's been desecrated. That's right, desecrated by the worst kind of hate speech that any parliamentarian could have ever given in all these years. BJP's South Delhi MP Ramesh Bidhuri on Thursday hurled the choicest Islamophobic abuses at fellow parliamentarian Danish Ali from the BSP. While Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has expressed regrets, the opposition is saying that is simply not enough. The BJP has show-caused Bidhuri, but the opposition wants sterner action against the BJP leader. A new law in Parliament, it's our top story tonight.
If what this honourable member of Parliament said was to be aired on a TV channel, it would be fully beeped out. But in the temple of democracy, the Indian Parliament, BJP MP Ramesh Bidhuri had his say without anyone from his party raising a murmur of protest. The Delhi MP went on a rant, mouthing abusive anti-Muslim slurs at BSP MP Danish Ali. Behind Bidhuri sat experienced parliamentarians who, by the looks of it, found the whole episode amusing. The opposition benches protested loudly. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh soon expressed regrets and urged the chair to expunge parts of Bidhuri's speech from the records.
तो मैं आपसे विनम्र अनुरोध करूंगा कि रिकॉर्ड में दिखवा लें ऐसी कोई बात यदि उन्होंने कही है तो रिकॉर्ड से उसे डिलीट कर दिया जाना चाहिए। यदि कुछ ऐसा उन्होंने कहा है जिससे कि इनकी फीलिंग हर्ट हुई है तो उसके लिए मैं खेद व्यक्त करता हूं।
Bidhuri's remark made during the discussion to celebrate the successful landing of Chandrayaan 3 on the moon have been expunged from Parliament records. The BJP has issued a show-cause notice to Bidhuri.
Okay, please.
BSP leader Danish Ali, who was at the receiving end, has written to Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla seeking suspension of Bidhuri.
प्रिविलेज हमने दिया है, अब लोकसभा स्पीकर पर निर्भर करता है। हमने तो इसी सदन में देखा है कि नेता विपक्ष को भी जो है 10 मिनट के अंदर रेजोल्यूशन लाकर सस्पेंड कर दिया गया था और मुझे उम्मीद है कि ऑनरेबल स्पीकर इस पर एक्शन लेंगे।
Sources in the Speaker's office say that Bidhuri has been warned against repeating such behavior. The opposition has rallied behind Danish Ali.
ये एक फिट केस है सस्पेंशन के लिए और इनके खिलाफ कड़ी सी कड़ी कार्रवाई की जानी चाहिए।
This is beyond shameful and I have absolutely no problem in calling out the Honorable Speaker. He keeps saying garima, घर का लोक सभा का गरिमा बजाय रखे, मर्यादा. Where is your maryada, sir, now? Where is your garima? You are maryada purush, you are garima purush. He's only given a verbal warning to Bidhuri.
Ramesh Bidhuri has refused to comment on the developments. Former Union Minister Harshvardhan, who came under fire on social media for smiling away during the shameful incident, has issued a statement calling the attacks on him political vendetta to tarnish his image. Ravi Shankar Prasad also tweeted that he does not support such comments.
It triggered an outrage with the opposition saying that Bidhuri couldn't just get away with a warning and the speaker should take strict action against him. With video journalist Lokendra, this is Mosmi Singh in Delhi for India Today.
A pimp, a terrorist and worse. Those are just some of the abusive languages, some which we cannot repeat on the show, that were used by a member of parliament. My newsmaker tonight is the man who was subject to them. Danish Ali joins me, BSP MP. Danish bhai, first thing, मैं कहना चाहता हूं जिस प्रकार की भाषा आपके खिलाफ इस्तेमाल हुई है वो शर्मनाक है, वो देश ने देखी है और मैं कह रहा हूं कि हम आपके साथ हैं इसमें कि जो भाषा हुई है अनएक्सेप्टेबल। पर ये हमें बताइए आप किस तरह से इसे आप देख रहे हैं। आपने एक चिट्ठी लिखी है, यू हैव रिटन अ लेटर टू द स्पीकर। आप किस तरह से इस पूरे मामले को देख रहे हैं, क्या करना चाहते हैं आप?
मैं तो राजदीप कल रात से सो नहीं पाया और मैं तो ये सोच रहा हूं क्या आरएसएस की शाखाओं में यही पढ़ाया जाता है? क्या माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नए भारत की प्रयोगशाला में यही पढ़ाया जा रहा है? क्या अभी तक इस तरीके की हेट स्पीचेस सड़क पर होती थी, भाजपा के नेता बाहर करते थे और उनको प्रमोशन मिलता था। शायद वही कंपटीशन चल रहा है। मेरे पास तो अल्फाज नहीं है। अमृतकाल, क्या ऐसा अमृतकाल होगा?
लेकिन दानिश अली, जिस तरह से ये शब्द का आपके खिलाफ हुआ, क्या कोई प्रोवोकेशन हुई थी? क्या है इसकी बैक स्टोरी? इसके पहले क्या आप और रमेश बिधूरी जी के बीच में कोई मतभेद थे, कोई झगड़े हुए थे? ये जिस तरह की भाषा हुई है, इसकी कोई बैक स्टोरी क्या है?
राजदीप, हर चीज रिकॉर्ड पर है। रमेश बिधूरी जी जब बोल रहे थे तो उनका भाषण रिकॉर्ड पर है। उन्होंने कुछ ऐसा रेफरेंस यूज किया प्रधानमंत्री जी के बारे में जो अनपार्लियामेंट्री था।
सर,
मैंने उस पर ऑब्जेक्ट किया कि हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री हैं, आप इस तरीके का अनपार्लियामेंट्री वर्ड यूज नहीं कर सकते। स्पीकर महोदय, इसको एक्सपंज करिए।
नहीं,
रिकॉर्ड निकलवाया जा सकता है, रिकॉर्ड है सब चीज का। उस पर वो प्रोवोक हो गए
बिधूरी
और
जी,
उन्होंने जो बोला है
जी नहीं बोला है इज अनएक्सेप्टेबल, बट बिधूरी जी के नजदीक लोग, पीपल क्लोज टू मिस्टर बिधूरी जी का कहना है कि प्रधानमंत्री के खिलाफ अशब्द भाषा हुई थी, उसके खिलाफ में वो बोल रहे थे और तब आप उनको लगातार इंटरप्ट कर रहे थे। दैट देयर वर स्लोगन्स अगेंस्ट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर और इस बीच में जब वो स्पीच कर रहे थे, यू आर इंटरप्टिंग हिम, ही लॉस्ट हिज टेम्पर। क्या है सच्चाई?
नहीं, मैं वही कह रहा हूं, जब वो ये बात कर रहे थे तो उन्होंने ऐसा रेफरेंस दिया जो अनपार्लियामेंट्री।
उन्होंने दिया?
क्या कुत्ता कहना किसी भी रेफरेंस में पार्लियामेंट्री वर्ड है? और वो भी प्रधानमंत्री जी के रेफरेंस में कहना, तो शुड एज अ रिस्पॉन्सिबल पार्लियामेंटेरियन इज इट नॉट माई ड्यूटी टू ऑब्जेक्ट टू इट एंड आस्क द चेयर टू एक्सपेंच इट? व्हाट रॉन्ग डिड आई डिड? उस पे प्रवोक होके उन्होंने जो है मेरे को मुल्ला, आतंकवादी, क्या क्या नहीं कहा। क्या इसलिए हम नई पार्लियामेंट में कहें? क्या ये नए भारत की परिभाषा है?
मिस्टर दानिश अली,
पूरा देश शर्मसार है।
सर, आपने अब चिट्ठी लिखी है, यू हैव रिटन टू द स्पीकर आस्किंग फॉर एक्शन अगेंस्ट दानिश अली। बीजेपी ने उनको शो कॉज नोटिस दी है, क्या आप इससे संतुष्ट है? आर यू सेटिस्फाइड?
मैंने स्पीकर साहब को चिट्ठी लिखी है, कार्रवाई की मांग की है, और कार्यवाही बीजेपी भी जानती है कि कैसे होती है। बीजेपी ने, सरकार ने पिछले ही सेशन में लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन को सस्पेंड कराया था। अगर जो पिछले सेशन में जिस आधार पर लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन सस्पेंड हुए थे, वो भाषण और कल का भाषण कंपेयर कर लिया जाए, बाकी ये स्पीकर साहब का अधिकार है, उनके अधिकार क्षेत्र में मैं कुछ नहीं कह सकता। बट पूरे देश ने देखा है, पूरी दुनिया ने देखा है क्या हुआ है। लोकतंत्र में विश्वास रखने वाला हर व्यक्ति शर्मसार है।
But do you expect him, Danish Ali, to be suspended? Do you expect Mr. Bidhuri to be suspended therefore? At the very least, you are demanding the suspension of Ramesh Bidhuri from Parliament. Am I correct?
I think everyone who believes in democracy, they want at least he should be suspended. And I have asked Honorable Speaker, according to the rules and procedures, जो हो सकता है
जी
वो करें। हमने पहले भी देखा है कैसे कैसे कार्रवाई हुई है। अभी भी दूसरे सदन के 2 व्यक्ति सस्पेंडेड हैं। तो ये मतलब इससे ज्यादा और क्या होगा? पहले हेट स्पीच इस सड़क पे होती थी, अब सदन के अंदर हो रही है। इसलिए तो नए संसद भवन का परिसर नहीं बनाया है हमने। ये क्या हो रहा है? वी आर मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी according to our former honorable Prime Minister.
No, you just referred, Danish Ali, to the Honorable Prime Minister. Do you want Prime Minister Narendra Modi to speak up and intervene? He is, after all, the leader of the Lok Sabha.
I think until unless Honorable Prime Minister takes the cognizance of these type of things, because everything was happening outside Parliament earlier. Such type of hate speeches were happening outside Parliament. Now, this has entered the new building of the Parliament. On the floor of the House, a BJP, senior BJP member, he is not a new one, is making hate speeches on the floor of the House. If now the Honorable Prime Minister is not going to open his mouth, then when? कब? और किस चीज का होगा?
सर,
क्या नहीं कहा? किस तरीके से थ्रेटन नहीं किया कि बाहर निकल के भी देखेंगे? तो मैं किसके पास जाऊं? मैं अपने संरक्षक के पास गया, उनके दफ्तर में गया, इंतजार किया मैंने ऑनरेबल स्पीकर लोकसभा का। उनको मैं मिल नहीं पाया, वो आए नहीं थे दफ्तर में, तो मैं चिट्ठी देकर उनके ऑफिस में आ गया। मुझे उम्मीद है कि कार्रवाई होगी, मुझे उम्मीद है कि मुझे प्रोटेक्शन मिलेगा, हाउस के अंदर भी प्रोटेक्शन मिलेगा और बाहर भी प्रोटेक्शन मिलेगा, क्योंकि थ्रेटन जो है वो दोनों तरीके से।
Rajnath Singh, Union Defence Minister, said he apologizes for these remarks if they are true, and he should be seeing the video. Mr. Rajnath Singh should see the video. Has anyone else though spoken to you from the BJP? Has the Speaker's office spoken to you? And importantly, what about those who, and I'll play those pictures, who are found laughing? Dr. Harshvardhan and Ravi Shankar Prasad ji, both senior ministers, former senior ministers, are sitting next to Mr. Bidhuri and they are laughing at the camera while these remarks are being made. So, has anybody apologized to you?
Rajdeep, this is very unfortunate that the former cabinet colleagues of Prime Minister Modi, senior parliamentarians, were laughing and having a thumping on his hate speech in parliament. तो और क्या, इससे ज्यादा शर्म की बात हो नहीं सकती हम लोगों के लिए. This is now up to the BJP to introspect. This is now up to the Honorable Prime Minister to introspect.
But has anyone from the Speaker's office contacted you? Has the BJP apologized to you? You have friends within the BJP. Personally, किसी ने आपको phone किया है and said, "We are sorry, Danish bhai, for what was said"?
No, nobody.
Nobody?
On yesterday on the floor of the house.
Nobody? Nobody has spoken?
नहीं, मेरे को किसी ने फोन नहीं किया, ना मेरे को किसी ने कोई बात की.
You said, Danish Ali, last night you could not sleep. Today, as a parliamentarian, do you realize what an average person feels when such words are used against him simply because he may be an Indian Muslim? A parliamentarian is being targeted. What would be happening to a normal Indian Muslim citizen on the streets? The language that is used? Do you believe, therefore, this is pure hate speech which must end? And do you intend to take this matter beyond just writing to the Speaker? Will you take legal action and set a precedent?
Rajdeep, because whole country has seen this. And I am helpless. What can I? This is up to the government of the day. ये तो ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब को इस पर कॉग्निजेंस लेना पड़ेगा कि ये जो नफरत की जो आग थी, जो सड़कों पर अभी तक फैल रही थी, वो उस आग की लपेटे अब जो है संसद भवन के परिसर के अंदर ऑन द फ्लोर ऑफ द हाउस भी आ गई. दिस इज द कॉल हैज टू बी टेकन बाय द ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ दिस कंट्री.
Will you be able to sleep tonight? Or will these words continue to hit you in some way?
I don't think I am really Rajdeep. I am really hurt, and not me. Crores of Indians has been hurt. Though everyone who believes in the democracy of this country has been hurt. It's not the question of Danish Ali individual. It's not the question of only the people whom I am representing in parliament. It's the question of the people of India who believes in democracy, who believes in the parliamentary system of this country. They all are. हम विदेश में जाकर के हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री क्या मुंह दिखाएंगे?
Sir, Mr. Danish Ali, if you had any words in conclusion to say to Ramesh Bidhuri, what would it be? क्या कहेंगे आज आप रमेश बिदुरी को?
मैं यही कहूंगा कि इस तरीके की नफरत की खेती करना बंद कीजिए. इस नफरत से ये देश विश्व गुरु नहीं बनेगा. ऐसे नफरती भाषणों से हम जो है विश्व गुरु नहीं बनेंगे. रमेश बिदुरी जी, आपने दानिश अली को नहीं, इस देश की पूरी समस्त जनता को शर्मसार किया है. आपने हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जो गर्व से कहते हैं कि वी आर मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, वो विदेश में जाकर के क्या मुंह दिखाएंगे कि आपके पार्लियामेंट के अंदर फ्लोर ऑफ द हाउस पे इस तरीके से एक माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी के पार्लियामेंटेरियन को एड्रेस किया जाता है. इट्स वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट. इट्स वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट.
I want to tell you this though today, Danish Ali. Millions of Indians, right-thinking Indians, and trust me, millions are right-thinking, have heard what was said. They are equally ashamed and angry, or should be. So I want to tell you, my thoughts, our thoughts are with you. This language is unacceptable. Hate speech is unacceptable inside Parliament or outside. So on behalf of all those millions of Indians, I apologize. You and millions of other Indian Muslims are proud Indian citizens, and I hope that the Speaker and the BJP take the strongest action in this matter. So thank you, Danish Ali, for giving us your perspective. And Remember, this parliament session was a special session in a new parliament building. It began with the Prime Minister as the leader of the Lok Sabha, hoping that a new culture would be brought into parliament. One that we hope would be free of abuse, would be free of hate speech. Sadly, that's not happened. Just listen to what the Prime Minister said and then ask yourselves, will the Prime Minister and the government walk the talk? Listen in.
नए भवन में हम सभी अपने वाणी से, विचार से, आचार से संविधान के जो स्पिरिट है उन मानदंडों को लेकर के नए संकल्पों के अनुसार नई भाव को लेकर के, नई भावना को लेकर के मैं आशा करता हूं, अध्यक्ष जी आप कल भी कह रहे थे, आज भी कह रहे थे, कभी स्पष्ट कह रहे थे, कभी थोड़ा लपेट कर भी कह रहे थे, हम सांसदों के व्यवहार के संबंध में मैं मेरी तरफ से आपको आश्वासन देता हूं कि हमारा पूरा प्रयास रहेगा और मैं चाहूंगा कि सदन के नेता के नाते हम सभी सांसद आपकी आशा अपेक्षा में खरे उतरें, हम अनुशासन का पालन करें, देश हमें देखता है.
So what should the Speaker now of the Lok Sabha do? Well, what should Om Birla do? That's the question I want to raise. Joining me now are Satyapal Jain, Additional Solicitor General, once a BJP MP, and Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. And I want to ask you both, starting with you, Satyapal Jain, is Ramesh Bidhuri protected in your view by parliamentary privilege, and therefore what is prima facie a hate speech he can get away simply because he's a parliamentarian?
See, Article 105 and Article 194 of the Constitution of India gives this immunity to the members of Parliament as well as state Vidhan Sabhas of speaking anything they like in the Parliament or Vidhan Sabha. This, of course, now has been referred to the judgment on this point has been referred to a larger bench. But I must start with one thing. The type of language that has been used, maybe in Parliament, maybe it is in Vidhan Sabha, maybe it is in a municipal corporation or even outside also, is totally unacceptable, totally intolerable and not called for in any civilized society.
No, so are you telling me, Satyapal Jain ji, are you telling me, sir, that if I resort to hate speech, brazen hate speech in Parliament as an MP against a fellow MP, I can claim parliamentary privilege even if the remarks are expunged? That's about all that can be done, is what you're telling me? That's the limited?
Two things are, let's keep two things apart. One is the prerogative of the privilege committee, Speaker of the Parliament to take action. That is entirely different. But so far as the criminal liability is concerned, that according to the 5 judges bench of the Supreme Court, para 124, the Supreme Court judgment, which has now been referred to a larger bench in P.V. Narasimha Rao's case, says the MPs enjoy immunity under Article 105 of the Constitution of India. But so far as the Parliament itself is concerned, the Speaker, the Privilege Committee, they have every right to analyze and take any decision that they deem fit. That is totally a different matter. But if you fix the criminal liability...
So you have made a distinction between criminal liability and the role of the Speaker. I get your point. Sanjay Hegde, do you believe that the Speaker...
Privilege Committee, I have been a member of the Privilege Committee. That is entirely different thing.
Okay. Sanjay Hegde, do you believe that the Speaker in particular must see this as not a... This is a Speaker who has suspended more people in the last few sessions than any other Speaker before him. So do you believe this is the fit case for a full suspension, possibly for a session? And do you really believe that's a deterrent?
Well, I don't think it would be a deterrent. If somebody is hell-bent on saying whatever pops into his head, then he must be willing to take the consequences. Today, what has happened is not only something against one individual member. It is a contempt of the House itself. The House's dignity has been undermined. The dignity of the House rests in the hands of the Speaker and the committees of parliament. If they do not protect their own dignity, nobody else can. I agree with Mr. Satyapal Jain that there is parliamentary privilege and that anything said in parliament, a member of parliament cannot be called to account in any court of law. That has been the position in England, and we have under 105 of the Constitution of India continued it as far as our parliament is concerned.
Right.
But parliamentary privilege cannot be abused in this fashion. It is not Mr. Danish Ali alone who has been insulted. It is India's parliament itself.
But, you know, Satyapal Jain, you said you were part of the Parliamentary Privileges Committee when you were an MP. What do you believe? Is this a fit case for a suspension for a session? Can something more be done that can send out a stronger message in some way that this is unacceptable language?
Sir, I'd like to make two submissions. In my view, I have gone through the provisions of the discussions of the Constituent Assembly. The privileges under 105 and 194 were given to the MPs and MLAs, keeping in mind that they may be free to say whatever they want to say without any fear and favor. And that is why, if I remember it correctly, in the old parliament, I was a member when the old parliament was there, there is a shlok written in Sanskrit on the entry gate, which means either you do not enter this house, and if you enter this house, you speak only the truth and nothing else but the truth. This was the intention when this privilege was given to them, right. Article 105 and 194. But unfortunately, this has been exploited by members across the party line. I remember, see, nowadays, just now, yesterday, Parliament has passed Women Reservation Bill. I was a member of Lok Sabha in 1996 when Mr. Dev Gowda was the Prime Minister. He brought the Women Reservation Bill for discussion. A MP from the Samajwadi Party, I will not name him, used very, very highly derogatory language against Sadhvi Uma Bharti. She started weeping. She came on the floor of the house, staged the dharna there. So I am saying whether it is of A party, B party or C party, this needs to be reconsidered. Article 105 also, in my mind, reads a re-look. You cannot give immunity to the MPs or MLAs of abusing others or saying whatever you want to deem fit. This needs a re-look, and I think all parties put together, they are the victim of one incident or the other, have a re-look at 105 and 194 so that such type of incidents are not repeated in future.
Sanjay Hegde, do you also believe time has come to review parliamentary privileges? We cannot. What privilege does someone like a Ramesh Bidhuri, for God's sake, deserve? The man has given the worst example of the kind of hate speech that some of our parliamentarians have normalized. Should someone like him be getting parliamentary privileges? Should Supreme Court re-look at it?
Mr. Bidhuri may be an aberration, but yet he is a public representative. We voters have voted him into parliament, and we have voted him with all the privileges that parliamentary membership confers. It is given for a very particular reason, that people should be free to speak their minds in parliament. It is not given for the reason that people should say anything that comes into their minds. It is not given for the reason that people should indulge in hate speech or communal speech. But if you allow the thin edge of the courts coming into parliament, then there could possibly be a clash of institutions that is not healthy for a democracy either. So parliament needs to respect itself.
Maybe it's for the Prime Minister to then, it's maybe then, therefore it's the Prime Minister and the leader of the Lok Sabha and the Speaker who need to really take a tough line, because they are the ones who have to preserve the institution's integrity.
Rajdeep, just one line. Yes. Just one line. It was the Hindi poet Dinkar who said, "Samar shesh hai, nahi paap ka bagi keval vyad. Jo tathasth rahe, samay likhega unka bhi aprad." Those who sat like Bhishma and Dronacharya silent when Draupadi was disrobed, history writes about them also. This is not a time to be tatras. This is a time for you to say enough is enough. Right. This man must be punished.
Okay. Those are strong words, and I think words that will echo hopefully right across. Silence is not an option. Laughing is certainly not an option. It's time for Parliament to wake up. We don't need new Parliament buildings. We need a new Parliament culture, my friends, in this country, and possibly new parliamentarians. Appreciate Satyapal Jain, Sanjay Hegde joining me on that. From there, let's turn to the other top story tonight. The diplomatic standoff that's erupted between India and Canada as Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged a potential link between the Indian government and the killing of a pro-Khalistani leader in Canada earlier this year. India has been rejecting the allegations as absurd and motivated, but today the Americans stepped in and said India will not get any special exemption. Take a look.
The Canadian Prime Minister has just acknowledged India's global clout.
There is no question that India is a country of growing importance.
In his comments at the sidelines of the New York General Assembly, Trudeau also underscored the importance of his country's broader engagement with India on the world stage.
There is no question that India is a country of growing importance and a country that we need to continue to work with, not just in the region but around the world. And we're not looking to provoke or cause problems.
At the same time, the Canadian Prime Minister reiterated his allegation regarding the death of slain Khalistani leader Rajdeep Singh Nijjar, allegations New Delhi has already strongly refuted. Asked to characterize the evidence he claims to be having, Trudeau dodged a direct question.
Prime Minister, India has rejected your allegations.
According to official sources, India has sent multiple deportation requests for wanted terrorists and gangsters to Canada, but Canada has ignored all of them. A deportation request for gangster Goldie Brar, who took responsibility for the killing of Punjabi rapper Sidhu Moosewala and who is believed to be in Canada, has also gone unheard. In its dossier to Canada, India has also raised serious concerns about at least 9 Canada-based separatist organizations supporting outlawed groups like the Khalistan Tiger Force, the Sikhs for Justice, and the Babbar Khalsa International. The issue of deportations of wanted terrorists and gangsters raised by Indian authorities in multiple diplomatic and security talks. 8 individuals involved in terror activities and as many gangsters who have been conspiring with Pakistan's ISI have found a safe haven in Canada.
If there is any country, if you're talking about reputational issues and reputational damage, if there's any country that needs to look at this, I think it is Canada and its growing reputation as a place, as a safe haven for terrorists, for extremists, and for organized crime. And I think that's a country that needs to worry about its international reputation.
An unprecedented diplomatic row between the two countries, otherwise sharing a robust trade, diplomatic, and strategic partnership. Bureau Report, India Today.
So what are India's realistic options now? Has this war of words embarrassed both India and Canada? Will Canada come clean on the Khalistan connection? Joining me now is Dave Heyer. He is former Indo-Canadian politician based in Surrey, Canada. And he suffered a personal tragedy because his father was killed, assassinated by alleged Khalistanis. Samir Kaushal is Indo-Canadian journalist based in Vancouver. And Vivek Kajju is former secretary at the Ministry of External Affairs. I want to come to you, Dave, first. Can you tell us your story and how you see what has happened in the last few days? You're on mute, Dave. You're on mute.
It is sad what has happened between Canada and India in the last few days, especially since Monday. And I think, first of all, I want to say, look, my condolences go to the Rajdeep Nijjar's family. I don't know if he has done things in India or not, but I'm saying in Canada he didn't do. But what the Prime Minister did by making an announcement in Parliament building in chambers without bringing any proof, what he should have done was probably brought some of the senior police officials, explained to what information they had, made a statement that time rather than just going accusing India. I don't know what evidence is there or not. If India wasn't involved, it is wrong, but we haven't seen any information. But on the other hand, at the Guru Nanak Sikh Temple in Surrey, where Niger was shot, they have a picture of Talvinder Singh Parmar, and on Monday they also had a picture of Talvinder Singh Parmar and Niger together. And Talvinder Singh Parmar was the mastermind, which was accepted by everybody for India bombing that killed 331 people, including 280 were Canadian citizens, over 86 were kids. And it is wrong to show pictures of terrorists as heroes any place, especially in the public. But sadly enough, our Canadian laws are not strong enough when it comes to the police to stop those type of pictures being shown as the heroes in the public, and probably trying to convert some of the people to saying it's okay to support some of these terrorists. I mean, and that is a sad part. And I think what's happening with the visa being restricted, that is wrong. And so what I also heard on some of the media is some of the people threatening the Hindu community, saying they should leave Canada, which is wrong. I mean, Canada is made of people from all different religions, all different cultures, all different backgrounds from all over the world. If everybody brought their problems to here, this would be probably one of the worst countries rather than one of the best countries. Right now, with all its challenges, it's still considered one of the best countries. But still, we have our share of problems, and Khalistan is the issue. But in Canada, under charter right, you can ask for Khalistan. There's nothing to stop it. But on the other hand, you cannot use hate and violence.
Because as you said, you've made an important point. You've got gurdwaras where you have pictures of people who are accused of terrorists, their posters being put up, which you're saying is unacceptable. Samir Kaushal, you're joining us. The fear is, from what Dave also said, that there has been a normalization of many of these people who are using Canadian soil allegedly for terror activities, for hate speech. How do you see it?
Thank you so much, Rajdeep, first of all, for taking me. I think it's a very concerning matter. And yes, it is normalizing day by day. But if you look at the hypocrisy of the authorities over here, the same referendum, though I'm not against or in favor of the referendum, this same referendum, which happened a few days back in one of the Gurudwara, the prominent Gurudwara, where Mr. Hardeep Singh Nijjar was president, the same referendum was cancelled in a school, and that has been cancelled by the school district. They said that they were showing pictures of a weapon in the school, and that was going beyond their policies. So the city authority, the provincial authority, the federal authority, they let that same pictures go circulate, published in whole of the city, not just in the city, over the internet as well. I'm not understanding the incident of this murder, the unfortunate murder, happened in Canada, in the city of Surrey. The investigation agency is the police of jurisdiction, city of Surrey RCMP. And what kind of evidence Mr. Justin Trudeau is asking from India? Yes, I am very much sure, because he's the Honorable Prime Minister of Canada, and he's representing Canada on the international platform. But the way he categorically say that there are certain credible allegations. Now he's saying credible, reasoning for that. But I'm surprised with only one fact. If he's having any kind of credible allegations, credible evidence, credible notion, whatever he's having with him from his intelligence services, why Mr. Justin Trudeau is waiting? Why don't they put the person who murdered Mr. Nijjar behind the bars? We have our judicial system very strong. We have our intelligence, strongest intelligence system over here. Why are we waiting? If
let me stop you, Samir, let me stop you, because that is precisely what is the question being asked in India. You have credible evidence, put it out in the public domain. But what you are doing at the moment, you are shooting and scooting in a manner that is ill-befitting, many would say, a leader of a sovereign democratic nation. And therefore, Vivek Karju, how should India respond? I mean, that becomes the big question. How he is the leader of Canada, he will be Prime Minister, arguably at least till the next election. Canada is a country with a large Indian population, some of whom retain their Indian citizenship. How should India respond according to you?
I think India should point out the contradictions in what Mr. Trudeau is saying and what Canada does. Mr. Trudeau is eloquent in saying that Canada would like to pursue and wants the international rules-based order to be pursued. If that is the case, then why is it that for over 4 decades, Canada has allowed terrorist activities to be carried out from its soil, and all evidence given to them has been brushed aside? That is one. Two, there is major lacuna in Canadian laws, and Canada has done nothing to address them. And third, and I say this, Rajdeep, with a sense of regret, but with a sense of responsibility, Canada's justice system has a racist attitude towards justice systems of other countries. They think that our justice system is simply not good enough, so that when we send them letters rogatory, when our judges and our prosecutors and our police investigation agencies send them material, they look upon it with the deepest suspicion. That is racist. That is not a rules-based order. But that is why...
Those are very strong words. The question, therefore, is what do we do now? Do we call out Canada publicly, given the fact that Canada is part of an alliance that includes the United States, and therefore the US today is saying we will not give special exemption to India on the allegation? What should we be doing? Should we call out Canada day after day publicly?
I think this is the time for mature diplomacy. One, we should call out Canada for the reasons that I've told you. Two, we must explain our position and all that we've done with Canada with the major powers. And three, we should use language which is mature, which is in keeping with our old diplomatic traditions. We don't have to go ballistic with our language. Our arguments must speak for themselves.
You know, you're saying that to me, that our arguments must speak for themselves, but it's a fine line, isn't it? Because the Canadians, you know, if they do have credible evidence, not in the public domain at the moment, but if they were to tomorrow provide it, it could be hugely embarrassing. Should all of this be settled behind closed doors, Mr. Kaju?
Look, ultimately, matters have to be resolved by wise men behind in quiet conversations. But unfortunately, the public statements of the Prime Minister of Canada in his house, the rallying, unfortunately, that day, the Canadian political class rallied around him. Later on, they are asking him for evidence, but that day, all of them stood together with him, has raised hackles here, and I don't see that coming down. I think temperatures will unfortunately rise. It will trouble a lot of people, but this is something which Canada has precipitated. Quite frankly, they have precipitated it, and they must address it.
Can I ask Dave Hire there in Surrey, where this killing happened? How do the people there, Dave, see it? Is Nijjar seen as some kind of a heroic figure, as some kind of a martyred figure, or is there a recognition that many of the people who are in Canada are today flirting with the Khalistani movement, have resorted to hate speech and violence that you spoke about? How does the Indian community in Surrey look at what's happening, Mr. Hire?
I think probably 80 to 90% of the Indo-Canadian community in Surrey and in Canada don't really agree with the Khalistan issues. They think if they want Khalistan, they should go deal with it in India rather than in Canada. But there's a probably smaller minority, probably around 10%, maybe 15% maximum, who are behind this. And usually they get all the press coverage, media coverage by the politician. And sadly enough, some of the politicians at the federal level, like the Prime Minister, he probably thinks that whoever briefs him, all the Indo-Canadians on the same page. Most of the Indo-Canadians want nothing to do with the Khalistan. They say that's something for India, should be left with India. But they are not very vocal because they don't want to be assaulted. If they publicly go out and speak against these people.
Right.
Because if you take a look at the history of some of the people, it's very violent. So most of the general public doesn't want to speak against him publicly. But generally,
you're making a very important
community
point.
or mainstream.
You're making a very important point, Mr. Haya. You're saying 80 to 90% of the people, Indian citizens there, want to have nothing to do with these Khalistani elements. They do not want violence of any kind, want to stay away from it. Therefore, Samir Kaushal, do you believe that Canada also needs to speak out against these elements? Because the fear is the Canadian government of Trudeau, because of the alliance it has with a party where there are large Sikh elements, because there's who are seen to have links possibly with some of these extremist elements, that Mr. Trudeau, or indeed across party lines, they need to speak out against violence. I mean, a rules-based order, as Mr. Kaju said, cannot tolerate violence and hate speech or language that is seen to encourage secessionism of any kind.
But Rajdeep, first of all, I am going to disagree with Mr. Katju's statement regarding the judiciary of Canada. Though our judiciary is very strong here. Fine, I can understand the emotions are very high, and sometimes we just flow with the emotion. But as far as you said, the community should come out and community should say, I think we have a diverse community. And recently, I just got some information. That Pakistani community, the Pakistani Canadian community, is coming forward in favor, in support of Mr. Justin Trudeau, and they are organizing a rally, I think, within 1 or 2 days, in solidarity with Justin Trudeau. So the jump of Pakistani community in this whole case is, gonna change the narrative of this discussion totally in a different way. But
that would be again a dangerous turn that it would take. Vivek Kaju, you heard from Samir Kaushal saying, look, he still has faith there in Canadian courts. Has the time come, Mr. Kaju, for India in a way to send out, how does India, I come back to where I started, what is the message India sends out then?
First, let me respond to Samir ji. If India sends material to Canada about interrogation, reports, etc., the first thing that comes into the mind of the Canadian prosecutors and Canadian legal system is how was this material obtained? Am I wrong, Samir? There is deep suspicion.
There are so many layers. Mr. Kaju,
one by one.
Please let me complete.
Yes.
There is deep suspicion about Indian systems. That is why not once has anyone been extradited. Why is it that with all the evidence available against Nijjar himself, no action was taken to extradite him? Why was it that in 1982, Mrs. Gandhi herself asked Pierre Trudeau to extradite a man who later was involved in the conspiracy of the Kanishk bombing, where 329 people died? Is that racist or not? I'm sorry, I'm using the word. It's a difficult word to use. But that is the approach, that the Indian system has deep lacunas and you can't trust it. This is the approach of the Canadians. That is why the Canadians ask Indian security personnel applying for visas, where have you served? If you served in J&K, Jammu and Kashmir, battling terrorism, we will not give you a visa. They ask questions that no sovereign government is entitled to ask. They ask questions which means the breaking of Indian laws by these visa applicants. It is the sovereign right of a state to deny or accept a visa application. It is not the sovereign right of a state, Samir, to ask a visa applicant to break his own laws.
Right.
That is why it is racist.
Okay. That's a word one should use, of course, very carefully.
I am using it carefully with the Canadians.
I want to give Samir 15 seconds to respond. You're speaking to us all the way from Vancouver. A quick response, Samir.
Absolutely. I think the word, the choice of the word does matter over here. It is not the judiciary, those who have to take care of what is happening. If government of India is sending any kind of information, I can understand there may be a weakness of the intelligence agencies or the policies of the government.
No, Samir, the fact is, after the Kanishk bombing, a lot of evidence was provided. The fact is the Canadians did not act on it. This was actionable evidence that was provided. And that's why the sense is people have got away in Canada for too long, and the time has come to call them out. Yes, it's not easy, but it has to be done. It can be done in a more mature fashion possibly. It can be done hopefully behind closed doors. We do not want people, average citizens, to get caught in the crossfire. But either way, we just hope that somebody wakes up and recognizes terrorism is unacceptable. In a rules-based order, extrajudicial killings or assassinations are unacceptable, but so are those who harbor terrorists on their soil. Think about it. I appreciate my guests joining me. That's it on the news today. Thanks for watching. You stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar. The good news is India has won the first ODI against Australia. Lots of cricket also in the months ahead. For now, good night. Namaskar.